Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is John Bishop with John Bishop Fine Art, and you're listening to Art Life, the podcast. Welcome back to the show. If you've been following us at all, you know that Bogdan and I have been trying to find this magical, wonderful, perfect spot that we could sell our house and move into and be able to run our business and live from the same place. And we're just not able to afford what we think we need. So we've started to regroup, and we thought, okay, maybe we can do some moderations here to the house to make it more acceptable, make it more conducive to the kind of work we think we need to do. And then we were toying with the idea of maybe buying a property also in Romania, where we could afford quite a lot and could live a lot more cheaply. So we're playing around with this idea. And we were looking at the kind of the pitfalls of trying to do business in Romania and the United States and splitting our time between the two. Because let's face it, the art market here in the States is much bigger than we're going to find in Europe, particularly in Romania. And so we started to think, who do we know? One of the At Silver Street Studios, we have probably 40, 50 artists and just in our building. And Jenny Guarino is one of them. Jenny is a liquid artist. She does the pour paintings and some resin work as well. And Jenny is Australian. And she is married to a man who is also Australian, but first generation Australian, whose family is from Italy. And so they basically travel from Houston to Australia and to Italy every year. And she spends a good portion of her time abroad and is still able to run an art business and explore and develop her art business in that way. And so we thought, okay, that's the person we want to talk to. So I have a recorded video and audio of Jenny, an interview that we did with her a week or two ago. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a problem. If you are watching this podcast, there is some missing video. If you're listening to the podcast, you're golden because all the audio is there. So let's go ahead and start off with that interview with Jenny Guarino here at Houston at Silver Street Studios. Guys, we're here with Jenny Guarino, who is one of the artists here at Silver Street Studios. And we've known Jenny for several years while we've been here. And one of the things we first noticed is that Jenny travels constantly. So she is a very accomplished artist. She does. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your art?
Well, firstly, I sound a little different. I'm Australian. So living in the US, so I'm a dual citizen, American and Australian. Mm-hmm. And my art is, over the last few years, has sort of evolved to being fluid art, and it's really about my travels. It's sort of memories of travels that I've made. So when I travel, I take my iPad with me, and I like to draw on my iPad out of airplane windows or wherever I am, and I sort of capture the colours and the feeling of the moment. Often it's really quick, it's not detailed. And then I bring them back to the studio here and create some artwork from those ideas.
You take those ideas and create some sort of fluid depiction of that. Amazing.
Yeah.
And you do work all sizes. Is it all resin work?
Mostly
resin?
Mostly acrylic on panels or canvas. And then what I do with resin is really just put a layer on top. I don't really mess around. Other people add products into the resin, but I really just put that on just to finish it off. My work's pretty bright and has a lot of colour. So some of the works, actually my Colour Play series, which is on canvas, is very bright and looks really good without the resin. So for that series, I don't usually put resin on. So it's a judgment call for each piece of artwork.
Sure. Well, great. You know, you say you have dual citizenships, U.S. and Australia, but there's also Italy in here.
There is also Italy. My husband actually is Australian, but first generation Australian. His parents are Italian and migrated after the Second World War. So over the last, I guess 10 years, no, actually it's 10 to 20 years, we've started going back to Italy to visit his family town, which is a little town east of Naples, in the hills in Campania, and there's an old family home there as well that we go and stay at. And I've been trying to learn Italian as well. And last year, for the first time, I actually managed to be able to speak it. I can understand it quite well. So that's very helpful when you're overseas. So yes, we go to Italy as well. So the studio's here in Houston. Most of the artwork I create is here in Houston, on especially the larger ones. And then we go back to Australia for family and friends once a year, and to Italy once a year as well.
But they're extended stays, right?
They're extended stays. So Australia is usually 2 to 3 months around Christmas time, perhaps, although
Go
this
for the
year,
summer.
yeah, because it's better weather. And Italy is just after the busy rush in August, so usually around September, but it can be other times. And Italy about a month.
About a month in Italy.
And fortunately, because we have houses there, I've sort of set up a little art studio bedroom in each of the places. That's what I've been doing over the last few years.
That's one of the questions I was going to ask you is do you work exclusively here? I mean, you said you use your iPad, but you'll do some of the fluid work.
Yep. So over the last few years, what I've been doing is, because part of it's trying to work out what products are available in these other countries. So that's sort of been a challenge. And interestingly, in Italy, for example, getting the resin and getting panels is difficult. They paint mostly on canvases and resin used for boats and things like that. Because of COVID, actually, Amazon delivery got better, and some of the delivery around Italy got better, and we're in a small area. I can get resin now delivered by Amazon to my little farm place. So that's sort of helped. Our last visit last year, I actually was able to get some resin, and I found a canvas maker who would make panels for me for my artwork. So I have made a couple of big ones in Italy, but really it's more for fun and exploration. So what I really do on my trips, they're more about reflection and about experimenting with different things. But the real serious work, I come back here and do it here. But I learn when I'm over there if I'm playing around.
So one of the issues, I guess, would be if you do work abroad, you bring it back to sell it?
No, and so only if it's small. So I have brought some smaller pieces about this big back in my luggage to sell out of here, and I haven't explored selling in either Australia or Italy, just because I've really focused on Houston and the larger scale works.
And you're not there long enough.
I'm right.
Well, I suppose you have contacts in certainly in Australia.
Yes,
You're in
I
Melbourne?
do. Yeah, I'm in Melbourne, and I mean I was born there and grew up there.
Outback.
Right. I mean, and even Italy, what's really funny is, so Melbourne's now a big city and has a lot of art. I'm just not connected with people, because part of art is trying to find the people who like your art and who will buy it. So,
and building those relationships
And in Melbourne, I have many friends, but I don't have those particular connections for the type of art I'm creating now. So I would have to work at that and focus on it. And at the moment, when I go to Australia for the 1 month, 2 months, I want to see my friends and family. I go and see the art shows. They always have really good and leading art programs. So I will do all that, and I will play around and fiddle. I'll see what art products I can get. They're more expensive there, so that's the other issue there. But I have started creating some things for family just as a test, just to see, well, you know, so I have just produced a really large one in Australia, but it's been over the course of a couple of visits. So I started at one visit and didn't finish it, and finished at this visit. So that's not practical to scale up, you know, for something serious. And transporting those huge panels or canvases, they're just too heavy.
It's cost prohibitive.
Yeah. And then you've got all the tax implications as well.
Exactly.
So that's why I still come back to and it's complicated, you know. So there's I think for what I do, Houston and Texas is a big enough, you know, and the US is a big enough market, and I don't necessarily need to sell in the other places.
Do you find that, I guess one of the things that I noticed because we lived abroad for many years, and I would just switch off this life, and I would switch on that life, wherever we were, and I just really, it just becomes tucked away in my psyche and my emotional. But that could really be detrimental to a business, right?
Right.
I mean, if I'm trying to build a business in Houston, let's say we get the place in Romania, I go to Romania for 2-3 months. Those 2-3 months, I'm not working the business in Houston.
Right.
I'm just like abandoning it.
And
how do you deal with things?
That's a concern, because last year, well, the last couple of years because of COVID, I've been here, and last year was a very productive year and a good year for sales for me. Now this year, there were some family circumstances which meant I had to go back to Australia, not at the normal time, and spent longer there. So I really haven't spent time here on my sales. And I really did shut down from Instagram on this particular trip. But I wouldn't recommend it because it does really slow your growth down.
People forget you.
People forget. And I didn't post a lot on Instagram. One of the things I have been working on personally, though, is teaching. So out of this studio, I have been doing pouring and alcohol ink on UPO paper classes. So what I did this trip when I was in Australia was I created an online teaching class for pouring.
Excellent.
That's just got uploaded to Skillshare. So it's the same classes I do here, but it's online. Because one of the things I feel bad about is my commitment to people who want to do the classes here in the studio. Well, what are they going to do when I'm away for 4 months or so? So I thought getting it online and being able to share it with them that way is one way. So that's just one aspect of my business that I've been exploring. So it's sort of like, so the teaching side of things is sort of fun. And that's a potential thing when I do go overseas, back to Australia, is potential I could do workshops. So that would be another way of sort of starting and starting to
build an audience.
In that location. So that's one of my ideas. I'm not sure about Italy, because Italy we really do only stay 4 or 5 weeks, so I'm not sure what you can really do there. But Australia, we're there more often, so.
Long enough to make an impact.
Right. So
any advice, any pitfalls you see? If someone was considering kind of bilocating like that?
Well, I mean, you have, you know the language.
Yeah. Well, Bogdan does.
So I mean,
I speak enough Romanian to know when they're talking about
because
it.
Because I think it's really difficult if you don't speak the language, especially when you're trying to find, if you really do want to communicate with gallery owners or create products,
English,
just trying to in Italy, not all the people who are making things speak Italian, speak English. So I think that's really important. And then if you were going to sell, you really need to understand, like I said, the tax implications of all of that, with US worldwide tax as well.
And if you have a permanent place, though, in Melbourne, you could actually leave inventory there. Right. You could have the Melbourne office.
Yeah, no, it would just, I guess it would just be another office. I just don't know. I guess it would be worth it if I had the time to make enough work there. So it's having the time to make the work. And maybe if you're working on paper, you can transport it easier.
True.
So, I mean, that's the other thing. Some of the canvas, people who are working on canvas, with normal brush, they take it off the frames, roll it up, and then you can transport it
and just re-stretch it.
But yeah, as far as panels and things, I guess it would be to work on smaller pieces and series with smaller works.
And I'm just trying to think. To me, the fear that I have also is that in different parts of the world, people value art differently. And my impression in Europe has been that people expect you to have a very, very developed education, worked in ateliers and really have the credentials to be an artist. And I don't have that. And not to mention I do abstract art, which they're going to say, where's your portrait work? In oil.
It's really interesting because so I don't. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I know all I know is that in Italy, one of my husband's family members just always said, "I love your art." Follows me on Instagram and says, "Love your art, love your art." And because she'd helped with some things for us as a surprise, I did one of my pieces for her, and it's like, and she was so excited because it's like no one else has this. I've got this, this large. Abstractic thing, and it's got resin on it, and I love it. So it's like, who knows? I think there's enough people that you're going to find your people there as well as here.
One of the advantages that we haven't mentioned is when you are an expat, you have better access to things,
right?
Because you're odd, you're different, you're new, you're exotic, in a sense. Because I know that when I lived abroad, I had access to people and got invitations to things that I would never have.
No, you're
gotten.
Absolutely right. I mean, the first contact, US Embassy in Romania, and off you go.
Yeah.
Because like here, I've made contact with in Houston with the Australian Embassy, and they're very helpful for my artwork in Houston.
And they buy art.
And they buy art. Yes, that's true. So.
They want something from the places they've lived.
Yes.
That's what I've always done.
Yes. Yes, same here.
Yeah,
same here.
It's a ready market, right?
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, so I think that's probably right. It's the international, especially in Romania. So Romania is probably more like the Italian market, although I really don't, versus Australia, because in a lot of ways Australia is just like here. Like and Melbourne especially, it's a big city. It's got really established large art galleries and a large art market, which is just like Houston. So probably it's similar opportunities with it. Whereas Italy and Romania, it's different culture, different world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things we thought was if we were to create anything in Romania, we would likely have to put it in a van and drive it to Germany or drive it to France. To
Everything's
sell it.
So close. But everything's so close.
But everything's so close. Living in Texas.
I don't even know. I know.
Everything's close.
Well, are there art fairs? See, I don't know much about Europe.
In Romania? Very few.
In Europe, but
certainly around Europe.
Right.
And again, you have that accessibility. It's just that it occurred to me that if I'm trying to build this business here, and I take big chunks of time away from it, that it could be.
I think it does dilute it for sure.
It's something because we have to consider.
Yeah, and especially if you look at these studios here in the second Saturday's opening, one of the things I felt bad about was that, and it was running through my head, well, maybe I should have someone coming and opening on just the second Saturday at least for me, while I'm not here.
That would be easy enough.
Yeah, because that seems like one thing that you could do.
And traffic here is picking up again, thank goodness.
Right.
After a long haul with COVID.
Yeah, and I mean, there is, obviously you've got your website with all those details, which is global and online anyway, right? So.
Are you so much online?
I've updated over, during, I guess the last 6 months I've updated, but as far as selling much, no.
We don't either. And we put it all out there, we do lots of social media. We just don't get a lot of sales online. And I guess I hear people do.
Right.
I don't know any of them.
No. What I get online is people finding my art classes.
That is delightful.
So fluid, for whatever reason, people here in Houston are interested in fluid art classes. So they do, they do find me through that mechanism. I think with my art particularly, you need to see it in person. So that's part of the problem with having it on a website. Is it's okay and it looks all right, but even when people I have had a number of queries through my website, quite a few queries, but they always need to come here to see the artwork. They wouldn't just press a button and buy it. It's quite an investment. So and then it's a matter of coordinating. So that's the other problem. If you're away somewhere and someone wants to see your artwork, well, how do you get them to see it? So you really do need a local contact, I think, who has access to your studio. What's next for me? Well, as I said, I've been exploring the teaching. I'm about to start work. So as far as creating work goes, I sort of work in spurts, and I've got different series and they are up on my website. So at the moment I have most of my larger work up on the website, and it's categorised by the different series I work. So I come back from a trip, I've just been to Australia, and I'm about to do I've got 3 square panels that are gum blossoms. So that's what I'm about to start work on.
Are you in any galleries?
No, I've been out there a little bit and tried that. It hasn't worked for me so far. Because it needs to be a gallery that matches your work.
Sure.
You know, I've done a few shows, I've worked with some galleries, I've explored it, but I really haven't found that right match yet. So I prefer to just sell directly to the customers here. It suits me.
I prefer that too, but it occurs to me that might be a bridge when you're abroad.
Right.
That you still
that would be excellent.
Your work in Houston or wherever.
Yeah, no, that would be excellent. But it's just, I mean, I don't know. The problem is that there aren't a whole lot of galleries that, I mean, I have looked at a few, and, you know, I think all of us have tried different exhibitions at different places, but they have to be really committed and excited about your work and interested in it. So in my mind, that almost means, I know you can go out and find galleries, but it's like the gallery has to find you too.
That's what I've heard,
Yeah. So, and I've tried, like I said, I've tried a couple of times and it hasn't. You know, they've been happy to have my work, but it can just sit somewhere and no one can see it.
True.
And the people seeing it have to be in the right price bracket for whatever you're selling. And otherwise, you're just giving your artwork to someone for free, you know. So, so I just keep on trying different things. The other thing I do is commissions of work of people who are interested but can't quite see what they like. So I've been working on that process and just changing it up a bit. A lot of people want me to go see their work in a house, in their home, and help design it. And I say, well, I'm not a designer, I'm an artist. So if I come, you know, send me photos of your house and come and pick some colour swatches and I can work that out with you. But I am exploring going to someone's house. So I have a commission in that process. It's done that way, but they do understand I'm still an artist. Like, I'll come and help them work out the size with them, and we'll pick some colours, and but I'll still come back and create an artwork in a certain series style. So it's not like, you know, we can take a photo of something and I'm going to do exactly what they think. Right. So I am exploring the commission process and other ideas. I just sort of poke around and just see what comes back and bites, you know. Which fish takes the bite, I don't know. And in the meantime, I just love creating art in this studio. So that's enough for me.
That's what we do. Well, thanks so much for talking with us.
Yeah, lovely to talk to you again. Always enjoy it.
Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Look forward to seeing what comes next.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks, Jenny. Okay, guys. Well, that was the interview. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great week. I'm going to leave it here. And hopefully we're going to find some more exciting news to share with you very soon. But until then, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.